Thank you all for joining us tonight for this live workshop. So first of all, I'd like to say a few words about why we're organizing all of these events, all of these online events. So I don't know how is the situation in your country. In Cyprus, the situation is quite critical. We're closing the school, most of the shops. We're having guidelines about to staying apart of each other. And there is many things going on also with the government. They are sending...
You're not live.
Oh. Okay. You are live.
Okay.
So the Ministry of Interior sent us a text yesterday, even like we have to stay at home. We have guidelines to stay apart of each other. And in Bali, we have friends that tell us that all the tourists have to leave the island. In Israel, our friends was telling us yesterday that the unemployment is rising dramatically. And yesterday I was also talking with my grandmother in France, and again, they cannot leave home. They have to have with them always carry a paper to say where they are living, because they cannot go far from their home. So I can say that all of us, we are today facing a lot of challenges in our life. So we decided to create all of these online events to create something positive from this situation. And we ask the facilitator from all over the world, from Insight, and they respond positively. And here again tonight, one of them is here to serve and to support all of the community and all of the people that are willing to listen to us also tonight. And Insight, it's all about awareness and raising awareness and the loving. And sometimes we have people asking us also in our workshop what is mean really loving for us. And one of the main quality of loving is actually courage. And it takes a lot of courage to choose again and again love and caring instead of fear and separation. And it takes courage also to stand up for our values, especially in this period of panic and fear. And that's one of the reasons why we choose it, to refresh ourselves with all of these live events. And last week we were talking with Vasilio Christou, and he was sharing also about awareness and about fear, how we can overcome that feeling and stay connected with ourselves in this moment. And tonight, I have the pleasure to have with me Peter Felsmann, who is going to talk with us about the 3 main challenges to a life we love and how we can overcome them. So thank you all for joining. I would appreciate also if some of you can write in the chat box where they're from. It would be great. Hi, Peter. So I just want to thank you for joining us. And I just want to introduce Peter, say a few words about Peter. So Peter is based in Mexico. At the moment, actually, he's in Argentina. It's blocked there with his family because the frontier is blocked. So it's a pleasure to have him still tonight with us. And Peter is a productivity consultant, business coach, and founder of Perform Productivity Solutions. He's also a head of training for Thrive Global, Ariana Huffington, the most recent startup company. And he has over 30 years of experience facilitating personal and professional seminars about culture change, productivity, team building, goal achievements, performance, productivity, communication, and leadership training. And he's also a senior facilitator for Insight Seminar worldwide. And he has been here for the first Insight Seminar in Cyprus. And he will be with us again in May, end of May, so 29th of May until 31st of May for Insight in Cyprus. So thank you, Peter, for being here with us tonight, and I'll let you know, explaining us a little bit about what is the 3 obstacles that keeping us from living a life we love.
Thank you so much, Clementine. And you and your husband, Karasi, are true leaders in this moment. Just for everybody that's listening now, Clementine and Karasi for the last several weeks have been, okay, what can we do? How can we support the community? They're cooking up something that you will probably hear about soon, just something to keep your energy up every day. And bless you for what you do. Bless you for the strong people that you are and how you support just not just your local community, but also the community all around the world. So, yes. So my name is Peter Felsmann. As Clementine said, I live in Mexico City normally, but I came to Argentina to facilitate 2 Insight seminars this month. One was supposed to start yesterday, and another one was next week in a city called Mendoza. I'm in Buenos Aires right now. And on Monday, seminars got canceled. My flight was canceled. Then a second flight was canceled. And so me and my family are here in Buenos Aires, and for the foreseeable future. We don't know what's going to happen, as most of you may be in the same case. And what I'm going to be doing this evening for the next hour or so, hour and a half, depending on the questions and how long it takes, is just talking about what it means to have a life that you love, okay, first of all. And then secondly, discuss what are the main obstacles that keeps us from having a life that you love. And then finally, we're going to be talking about how to overcome these obstacles. Just so you know, my family is quarantined, probably the same as you are. So if you hear a little boy running around in the background kicking a ball, it's my son, because as those of you with children may be happening the same thing, kids start bouncing off the walls, So anyways, one of the things I do want to tell you, and listen carefully, okay? You need to watch your negative fantasies. In these times of uncertainty, it's very easy to go into negativity and having negative fantasies. And if you have negative fantasies, you're going to go into fear. And when you go into fear, you disconnect from your natural intelligence, okay? There's a saying that I believe is very accurate, that when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down, okay? So focus on things that are within your control and don't dwell on negative fantasies that may bring more fear for you, okay? It's very, very important for you to keep present. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? Let me see. Technology is amazing. Do you imagine what it would be like to go through this experience with no technology? Oh my God. You think this is hard. Imagine what it was like in Europe 100 years ago with the Spanish flu. So we're very, very fortunate is what I'm saying. So let me talk a little bit about Insight Seminars. Insight Seminars is a nonprofit organization started in California in 1978. And since 1978, more than 1 million people have participated in Insight Seminars worldwide in over 30 countries in 17 languages. And it's quite a powerful process. As far as I know, we, as a personal growth process, we're the longest running seminar organization in the world. And there's a good reason for that. And the reason is because I can say with 100% integrity that it's simply the best process that I've found. There are others that are good. Some of them are very good. And none of them, in my experience, are quite as powerful as Insight is. So our purpose at Insight is to inspire individuals and organizations to live outstanding lives that are extraordinary, lives that you love. And the way we do it is through increased self-awareness, okay? Paying greater attention to the things that we do, and mostly on automatic, so that we can have an awareness of how our actions create our results, so that we can become personally accountable to the results that we have. And also, something that distinguishes Insight from all other programs is that we do it nested in a context of tremendous loving. For most of the people that go and participate in an Insight seminar, Insight gives them the greatest experience of loving that they've ever had in their whole life. And some of you may look at that word and think, loving, oh, I don't want loving. And if you're thinking that, then you're simply crazy. 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very dangerous cancer. And I tell you, when life if makes you face death in such a way, the only thing you care about is the people that you love. And I believe all of you have someone you love. And if you're not able to express that love, or if you're not able to receive the love from them, then you cannot have a life that is outstanding and extraordinary. So these are what I believe are the three main obstacles to creating a life that you love. Okay? The first reason is that you don't know what you really want. Well, you may think, no, I know what I want. And I'd like to challenge that. I think that you think you know what you really want. Because what we think we want and what we really want are often two different things. What we think we want most of the time has to do with feeling secure, with feeling recognized, recognition from other people, feeling important, feeling taken into account, and they mostly have to do with survival things, okay? But what I think you really want have more to do with transcendental things. Thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what you think you want, unless you are starving or drowning or freezing or dying of thirst, what you think you want isn't going to give you a life that you love. And then the second obstacle is that you don't know how to get it. So you don't know what you want, and even if you did know what you wanted, you don't know how to get it. And the third obstacle they all have to do with action, because there's a series of obstacles to action. And I want this to be an interactive webinar, okay? You have the capacity of writing in the notes section, in the comment section. Please ask questions, please give your responses, and I'd like to try it right now. So please write, say hello, as Clementine asked earlier, tell us where you are, raise your hand if you're in quarantine right now, let us know how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, if you're having fear, if you're having calm and peace, or if you're worried, if you're angry, just whatever is happening. Okay, if you're having fun with this process, just whatever is present for you right now, just make a comment right now in the comment section. Okay? Okay. So let's get into it, why don't we? And let me check the time so that I do the timing in the best way possible. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, first obstacle, you don't know what you really want. What you think you want, maybe you want to travel, you want monies, so you can buy stuff, so you can do things, you want romance, okay? You want sexy things, a car, a house, a job, all these things. And that's usually what people go to when you ask them, what do you want? Well, as a matter of fact, when you ask people what they want, what they start responding usually is that they start telling us what they don't want. So many people live their life not based on what they want, not even on what they think they want. Most people live their life based on what they don't want. They don't want to be alone. They don't want to be insecure. They don't want to be ignored. They don't want to be afraid. They don't want to be meaningless. So that's what motivates their life, okay? So you don't know what you really want. You think you want these outer things. But in reality, there's a reason why you don't know what you really want. And it's because ever since you were a small child, you've been told what you're supposed to want. Okay? So you've been told since a small child that you're supposed to want to get good grades, get a good job, get a husband that is successful, get a wife that is attractive, get a children, get a house, get a car, and go on vacations to certain places. So when this is the reason why you think you want a house, or you think you want a job, or you think you want a new dress or whatever. So you go out, you get it, and then after a short amount of time, you start feeling this is just as the same as it was before. So the satisfaction and joy of achieving the thing that you thought you wanted doesn't last very long. So this puts us in a very tough situation, which can bring us a lot of despair. It can make us very scared, or fearful of what's the point of life. So what to do about it? The thing is that you've been living your life with an outward focus for the most part. And most people are living life in this way. They live their life from the outside in, trying to fulfill their inner needs through outer mechanisms. For example, trying to get security from the outside, trying to get recognition from other people, trying to get money because money gives them a sense of power, maybe. Or trying to find what we call a romantic ideal, something that's outside of us, that we go chasing after that romantic ideal, somehow, give meaning to our life. So we're constantly looking outside of ourselves and chasing things outside of yourself. So please, in the comment section right now, take a few seconds to write out, what are some of the things that you think you want? What are some of the things that you think you want? You want a new house, you want a job, you want the coronavirus pandemic to end, you want, what are some of the things that you think you want? Just take a few seconds to write in the chat section now, please. Meanwhile, I'm gonna take a sip of water. It's a very beautiful glass. I don't know if you can tell, but it has a bee on there. And bees are very special creatures. They represent abundance, and they represent work, which are good things. So let's take a moment to check to see what is the price that we pay for living an outward focused life. Apologies, I just noticed I misspelled something there. What is the price you pay for living an outward focused life? So one of the things that is very prevalent in our society nowadays is anxiety. People are anxious. Even though we live in the wealthiest time in all of history, okay? Never before in history have people been so wealthy as they are now. I've read that 200 years ago, 98% of the human population was at extreme poverty. And now it's less than 10% in just 200 years. Even though, there's less people than ever living in times of war. Even though sugar is more dangerous than gunpowder now, people live fearful, anxious, worried. And that's one of the prices of living a life based on the outside, based on an outward focus. Another price we pay is judgment, because when we live an outwardly focused life, automatically we start judging and comparing. Better, worse, right, wrong, good, bad, which also can take us into living, wondering what's the point of life? What's the meaning of it all? So living a life that is meaningless, or nihilist, it doesn't matter if we live or die, that is also a price. So in other words, life has no value, because if life is meaningless, then life has no value, which can bring us to despair and being workaholics, staying busy all the time, giving us something to do, something to keep our minds and our emotions and our energy engaged in life. We become workaholics just so that we have something to do and find at least a temporary sense of meaning and distraction. Okay? And all the addictions, not only workaholism, but all the addictions to drugs and alcohol and sex and porn and video game addictions, and all the other types of addictions that limit us. So that's just, of course, just a few of the prices, because all of these have a negative impact on our health. They have an impact on our physical health, of course. It strains our immune system. It affects, obviously, our mental health, our emotional health, and our spiritual health as well. And then gossip, which is also a form of addiction. That's something that happens. Comparing ourselves to others. Living life is a competition where there's winners and losers. And this is a price. And these are heavy, heavy prices. I mean, I've spent most of my life working with these things for myself personally. And I've been quite successful, I'd say. I don't want to pretend that I'm perfect or that I don't have any challenges, because I do. And I'm not perfect by any means. After all, I'm married, which means I'm a husband. And of course, husbands are never perfect. But I've learned to become free of most of these things, of the anxiety, of the judgment, of the. My life is very meaningful. I have a lot of trust. I've learned to balance out my work and the rest of my life, and I'm pretty free of addictions. So I think that the price we pay for living an outward-focused life is. Let me see if this will work. Oh no! This is my little pen here. I was working earlier. Here we go. Loss of freedom. So this is the big price that we pay. Loss of freedom. We become slaves to these things and many others. Consumerism, we could add here. Consumerism. Many people live in debt, for things. So, our greatest learning opportunity in life is in what we don't know that we don't know. And let me explain this a little bit. I made a video about a week ago explaining this a little bit, 2 weeks ago, actually. So, in life, there are things that I know. For example, maybe you know how to fix a car, maybe you know how to cook spaghetti, maybe you know how to change diapers, maybe you know how to design a building, whatever. These are the things that I know. Okay? Then there's a bigger area, which are things that I know that I don't know. Things that I know that I don't know. So, for example, I know that I don't know how to program computers. And I know that I don't know how to, uh, do an operation on a human being or on an animal for that matter. Okay. I know that I don't know calculus. I know that I don't know most chemistry, for example. Okay. But here, of course, there's no learning here because I already know. I know I can learn here because there's these things that if I'm interested in them, I can go and learn them. But our biggest and greatest opportunity for learning in life is in this whole area here. All the things that I don't know that I don't know. Because they're completely out of my radar. And since it's out of my radar, that's where the greatest risk of getting slammed by life, having a negative experience that shows me, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I don't know this stuff. So I'll give you an example, true example. As I mentioned earlier, I was diagnosed with cancer less than 2 years ago in April of 2018. And I learned so much that I had no idea even existed about what makes me healthy and what makes human beings healthy. For example, I learned a lot about the importance of having good sleep. I knew that food was important. I knew that some other things were important, but I did not know how important sleep was, or I did not know how an emotional impact could affect my immune system. And I did not know that a strong immune system basically keeps us free from cancer. That's part of its job. Okay, so if there's all these things that you don't know that you don't know, that's when you can get caught by life. So a very wise strategy would be for you to proactively become aware of what the things are that you don't know that you don't know. In other words, make this area bigger so that you're more and more aware, and also make this area bigger. Okay? So, why don't we know how to get what we really want? So the first obstacle is that we don't know what we really want. But let's explore a little bit. Why don't we know what we really want? How to get what we really want? And also has to do that we repeat patterns. We repeat patterns that what you saw your mom do, what you saw your dad do, what your society does. We just do things in a pattern, and that's, of course, we're social animals, and it's a very natural thing, and it's very important that we learn how to conform to societal values and do what society does and what other people do, and we learn mostly from our parents and people around us as we're growing up. So we repeat patterns from our family and society. So that keeps us stuck without knowing what it is that we don't know. It keeps us repeating the same patterns over and over again, or sometimes we'll do the opposite pattern. So, for example, Tony Robbins, for example, a good man whom I admire. He shares very many times how there was no food in his house for Thanksgiving. And now he's fed over 1 million people on Thanksgiving, through a foundation that he has. So that's an example. So we either repeat the same pattern we saw our parents do, or we'll do the opposite pattern. We'll completely break the mold, but it's still based on what we observed. And the second reason is that we don't know many people who live extraordinary lives that they love, that are outstanding, that are really full in all ways possible. And schools, unfortunately, are very bad at teaching in general, in my opinion, and they're especially bad at teaching these life skills. There's no school where the curriculum is focused on how to identify and how to get what we really want. Most schools are based on, almost all schools all over the world are based on a paradigm from 150 years ago, which had to do with we need to teach people how to read and write so that they can become good industrial workers. That's basically the paradigm that school system is based on. Most organizations, what they do is that they teach us how to conform, here we go. Most organizations teach conformity. Okay, they just teach us to repeat the patterns from our family and from society. And again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's necessary as a base to have a functional life, but to have an outstanding life, we have to go beyond those patterns. And part of that conformity has to do with risk and fear of risking making mistakes. So in school, if you make a mistake, you get a bad grade. At work, if you make a mistake, you get scolded by your boss. But more and more companies, especially startup companies and smaller companies, are realizing that the way to succeed is by failing fast. Let me write it over. Let me write it over here on the side. Fail fast. And failing fast is contrary to what we've been taught all our life, because all our life we've been taught to be perfect or to try to be perfect. So if you've been taught to try to be perfect, then you either gave up on yourself and just stopped trying, or you are trying to be perfect and you can't. It's impossible. So you're stressed out, leading to something we call, and we see very, very often in companies, called the imposter syndrome, where people feel like fakes, even though they're successful, even though people are acknowledging them and admire them, they feel inside like a fraud. They feel that they're not worthy because they know that they're not perfect and they're trying to be perfect. So, what if the answers you need are already inside of you? So, of course, the word insight gives us a clue here. Insight, to look inside, to go inside, to see what's inside, because the answers are already inside of you. Okay? What we do during the Insight 1 seminar, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Insight seminar, okay? I hope that's okay. During the Insight 1 seminar, what we do is that we take the time to become aware of the choices that we make in life. Mostly are automatic choices and mostly unconscious choices, so that we can become aware of the consequence of these choices and we can start making better choices. We can start noticing what we are doing that works so that we can do more of what works. What are we doing that doesn't work so that we can do less of that? And we also give at least 100 tips and tools and techniques to create an outstanding life. So it's really quite amazing. And we do it in a very, very effective way. There's a concept called what's it called? It's called the cone of learning. Okay. So it's a cone. It measures, what it says is the method of teaching, okay, and the amount of retention. Whoops. So the best way, sorry about that. The best way to learn is through play, is through doing things. not through hearing them, not through repetition, not through reading things, but actually from experiencing that. And that's what Insight does better than anybody else I know, is that it offers a methodology that allows you to have an embodied experience of the concepts that lead to living an outstanding life that you love. Yes? So, the obstacles to action, and the main obstacle to action is fear. Okay? Fear paralyzes people. Most people, as I mentioned earlier, don't live their life based on what they want. So, you want this, they say people may not like me, what if I make a mistake, etc., and they move away from what they want. And then they justify it and they say, well, I never could have done it anyways. Okay? So instead of living lives based on what you want, most people move away from what it is that they don't want based on fear. And fear is the number one thing that is keeping them from having an outstanding life that they love. So, of course, the antidote is action. You ask yourself, what do I want? And then there's your dream. And then you start going for it, and you feel the fear, and you still keep in action until you get it. So most people determine their life based on fear instead of based on what do you want. The fear will never go away until you go for what you want. Okay? So related to this is the unwillingness to experience discomfort. I often say that comfort is overvalued. Comfort is overvalued. Comfort is an important thing to have if you are just in despair. If you're frightened, if you're sick, if you're wounded, if you've been beat up, comfort is necessary so that we can recover, catch a breather, gather ourselves, and to face life again. But most of us are not in that situation. Most of us are stuck in our comfort zones and unwilling to experience discomfort. Most people live their life, and inside here are all the things that they're used to, and they say, oh, I wish I could be like that. But when they start taking action to go towards what they want, and they get to the edge of their comfort zone, when they get here to the edge of their comfort zone, they start experiencing discomfort, fear, nausea, shaking, negative fantasies, all sorts of things. So when they start experiencing this discomfort, what do? Boop. They say, I don't think I can do it. It's too hard. And they move back. And what happens is that their comfort zone gets smaller. And then they justify their life. See, and that does not make you a bad person, by the way. But it does not make you an outstanding person or a person with a life that they love, because what stays inside here is the fear and the stuckness. I believe that in a very real way, the size and shape of your comfort zone is the size and shape of your life. And some of us have very big comfort zones in some areas. So maybe you're used to making a lot of money, or having an excellent job, or having a loving relationship, or wonderful parenting experience, or whatever, wonderful friends. But you may be stuck in others, So maybe you're doing great in one area of your life, but not doing great at all in another area of your life. And personally, I believe that an outstanding life is a life where you're growing, you're stretching yourself, you're moving past, and it doesn't always have to do on the outside, although it's easier to do it on the outside. With this coronavirus pandemic, I recently made a video on what did I make the video on? Yes, I made it, not a video, I posted something on Facebook. How we can choose how to face this. We can go into the fear, we can go into the panic, we can be huddled, and like C.S. Lewis said, I don't want the pandemic to catch me like a huddled sheep, afraid. I want to face life with an open heart, with clear eyes, fully engaged. Okay? So, besides fear and the unwillingness to experience discomfort, one of the greatest obstacles is thinking too much. So, what I'm going to be telling you right now may be a shock, but your thoughts are not intelligent. Your thoughts are habitual. I was listening recently to a very smart man from Mexico. His name is Macario Schettino. And he was saying, what you think is thinking, it's not thinking, it's just talking. That blah, 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 blah going on in your head, that's not thinking. Thinking actually requires work. But what we call thinking is just habitual, the parrot or the monkey chattering. And since people are afraid of taking action, what they do is that they try to analyze life so that they don't make mistakes. And they try to figure everything out in their head instead of figuring life out in life. But life gets figured out in life. It doesn't get figured out in your head. It gets figured out in your life. So the universe rewards action. This is a law, okay? The universe does not reward thinking. The universe rewards those that act, okay? So if you want an outstanding life, you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to risk. You're going to have to risk making mistakes and looking stupid and feeling awkward and feeling discomfort and feel the shaking and still do it, and being unsure and still doing what needs to be done, because that's what the universe rewards. How many of you have ever wondered, how many of you ever thought this? I don't understand why that person is stupid. I know they're stupid, but they're more successful than me. How can stupid people be more successful than me? Ever had that experience? And the reason why they're more successful than you is because those people take action and you have not. Okay? What differentiates the successful from the wishful or those who have given up is that the successful people are willing to act, even through uncertainty, even if they don't know how to do it. They just figure it out along the way. They become friends with failure. They become friends with discomfort. I would say that that's one of my personal strengths, is that I am a friend to being uncomfortable, because in that discomfort is my growth and my learning. So, Insight Seminars is not for you if you think you already know everything you need to know about life. If you're not willing to step outside of your comfort zone, then Insight Seminars is not for you. If you cannot invest the time, the money, and the energy required to take a weekend and invest that weekend on learning about yourself, then Insight is not for you. And that's okay, by the way. That doesn't make you a bad person. I'm just saying Insight isn't for you if this applies. If you think you already know everything, you don't have anything to learn, if you think Insight has nothing to teach you, then fine. If you're not willing to step outside of your comfort zone, if you cannot invest the time, the money, or the energy, then definitely Insight is not for you. But if you're willing to think outside the box, if you admit that there are things that you don't know, and you would like to learn them, then Insight is for you. If you're a person that enjoys learning, if you think it's important to constantly improve on yourself, to learn about yourself, to learn how to have better relationships with others, how to communicate better, how to create more success, then Insight Seminars is for you. If you like having fun, then oh my gosh, Insight is for you. One of the things that makes Insight so outstanding and incredible and wonderful, frankly, is how much fun we have during a seminar. So it's very interesting because many people believe that in order for something to be valuable, it needs to be serious. And in reality, we have so much fun during an Insight seminar, and we work so profoundly and so deeply. So if you enjoy having fun, then Insight definitely is for you. And if you like to learn, Insight's for you. If you're willing to go outside of what you're comfortable, and if you're committed to yourself to be the best you can be, then Insight is very, very, it's perfect for you. If these things apply to you, okay, then Insight Seminars is definitely for you. And then, of course, the defining factor, if Insight is for you, if you're willing to take action. If you're just going to watch this and sit back and let someone else live life, then that's fine. Okay. But if you are willing to take action, then Insight Seminars, oh my gosh. And it's going to be the best investment you've ever done in your whole life. Okay. So take a moment to consider the following. I want you to think about your life. Okay. Your life now, and I don't mean now in the coronavirus pandemic, because frankly, this pandemic is going to end. And I think that we need to start, me and you watching this, you need to start thinking what you want your life to be like moving forward. Most likely life is going to be quite different. I think that this is going to be a similar event as the towers, the terrorist attack in New York on September 11th of 2001. But what have you been stuck in your life? Okay, what area in your life have you been stuck in? Is it in finances? Is it in meaninglessness? You don't get the point of life. Romance, fun, work. Maybe there's a dream that you have and that you haven't gone for it. You haven't really taken the steps. What if the way your life is now in these areas is a snapshot of what the rest of your life is going to be like? Except that it's only going to get worse. How do I know this? Because most likely, if you've been stuck in one of these areas for 5 years, you know that now it's worse than it was 5 years ago, right? If you've been out of shape for a long time and you want to get into shape, except that now you're in less shape than you were 5 years ago. It's harder to get into shape. See, the way things are now is the best indicator of what the rest of your life is going to be like. Unless you take action. Universe rewards action. Those who take action. So here are 3 powerful, simple tools that we learn in Insight, is to do more of what works. So we take the time to go inside and become aware of what it is that we're doing that's working in our life. And we also take the time to realize how the choices that we're making, mostly automatically, mostly unconscious, are bringing about outcomes that we don't like and that aren't working. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we give you, I would say, over 100 specific tools, techniques, ways of doing things that any one of them can change a person's life. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the next seminar we have in Cyprus, because we're being hosted by Insight Seminar Cyprus. And it's going to be May 29th through the 31st in the Annabelle Hotel in Paphos in Cyprus. Now, maybe you're not in Cyprus and you're interested in taking an Insight seminar. I want you to know that we have seminars and Insight seminars from Chile all the way to Nigeria and Siberia. Okay, so go to our website, insightseminars.org, so that you can look at the calendar to find the next seminar close to your location. And I promise you, it's worth traveling. If there's no insight close to your location, it's worth traveling to some place where there is insight, because quite frankly, insight is the best personal growth process on the planet. Over 1 million people have taken insight since 1978. We've been doing this for more than 42 years. We started in January 1978, and it's spread all over the world, teaching people how to lead outstanding lives based on personal accountability and self-awareness and loving. If you have any questions, please, just write them in the comment section. See if there's any questions that you may have. And let me check my notes here. Oh, yes. Let me see here. Some of the things that we discussed during the Insight Seminar are, we talk about committing to ourself, not just living our life committing to things outside of ourselves, but committed to our inner self, to our authentic self. Many times we're committed to looking good, to feeling safe, to being right, instead of being committed to having a joyful, fulfilling, outstanding life. We talk about how to be more effective in our life, how to change our behaviors, our automatic behaviors, so that they bring about more of what we do want and less of what we don't want. About taking charge of our attitudes, letting go of resentments and guilt, and letting go of our victim stories. We learn how to use feedback to create more success in our life, how to give feedback, how to receive feedback, how to integrate the different parts of ourselves so that we have the guidance of our higher self, and we have the support, the energetic support within us. And we use our minds in a way that supports us instead of using our intellect in a way that limits us, like many people do by overanalyzing. And we also talk about giving and receiving. So let me skip over here to. So if you have any questions, please write them in the comment section. Okay. Is what I want. Let me see. Last question. Oscar Anaya, is what I want the same as Maslow hierarchy? Maybe, yeah. I think that arguably, yes, you could say that. Maslow tells us we have our physiological needs. Of course, first of all, we need air, and then we need water, we need food, we need shelter, and then we need to belong, and then we need to contribute. I'm pretty sure that's not exactly how he would say it, but yes, I guess there's some physiological needs, and then my way of seeing it is that we have some spiritual needs or some transpersonal needs that need to be met, and that's where our greatest fulfillment comes from, once the basic needs are fulfilled. Any other questions? Who else has a question? Hello, Puya, Vanessa, Barbara. I'm looking through the comments, see if any. Rosita, hello, Rosita. Hello, Inbal, Shalom from Israel. Krasi Dimitrova. And Cam, hi, Cam. Tina, how do you tune down the fear, negative fantasies? That's a great question, Tina. The way to tune down the fear and the negative fantasies is by focusing on something else. That's it. So you need to, the racehorses or carriages, they'll put, I know the word in Spanish, I forget the word in English, blinds, I guess. They put blinds on them so that they can only see a certain direction and they don't see what's going on the side. Same thing. You need to be disciplined, turn off the news, Don't listen to stuff that is going to take you into fear. And the reason why is because our energy follows our thinking and our focus. So if you focus on fearful things, you're going to experience fear. Okay. Puya, so wonderful to read you, feeling connection and love in this moment. Hi, Oscar in Germany. You already asked about. Okay. You're scared, Ra Milena. It's normal in these times. Hello, Rumi. Hello, Bubeto. Lyubov Mirova. Okay. Hello, Jan. Liani. Hola, Liani. And let me go through the notes. Yeah, Angel, of course. Money and status. Yep. But there's something behind the money and status that you want. Hello, Olivia. Asia, Oscar, Nazarin. Okay. What is the conversation you have with your son about this coronavirus? So, we just explained to him what it is, and that we need to wash our hands. Just trying to keep, because there's lots of fear going around, lots of messages of fear going around. So we don't want him to get infected by the fear. Okay, because one of the things that that is so such a blessing with this is that children are pretty much safe from this coronavirus. I think that's it's an amazing blessing. Do you imagine if children were the ones at risk here? That would be truly terrible. Oscar Anaya, you say Tony's 6 human needs. I think I've read them. I don't know them by heart. Something about certainty and uncertainty and contribution. Those are the 3 that I remember. Laura Romero from Guadalajara. Laura, yeah. I'm going to switch into Spanish. So, Laura, por lo pronto tenemos programado Insight en junio. Of course, I just said that we have an Insight in Mexico City in June. Who knows if, what will happen then. My personal feeling is that things are going to start to settle and become more normal in the next 2 to 3 weeks. China seems to be over the crisis, and I think it will be the same for us. So, Joe, Peter, we will be in lockdown for 3 months. No travel allowed. Schools closed today. Jobs on hold everywhere, closing. When is one after May planned? Those of us who want to attend this seminar. So, if you would like to attend an Insight seminar, go to the website. In Cyprus, of course, in May. We have in Sofia in June. Again, that's scheduled. Insightseminars.org, and you'll know then. Inbal, we will talk about it more on Sunday at Ofer's webinar. Ofer has a webinar coming up. That's excellent. What will be the economy after the pandemic? So this is what I think. I think that the economy is going to start moving slowly, then quickly. And then we're going to be talking to people about this. 12 years ago, the world had a very strong economic jolt, and things just got better and better, different, but people survive, and I think that's the way it's going to be this time around as well. Things will be different, but you'll survive. You'll be fine. Krasimir, is patience something you can work on? Well, Krasi, either work on patience or life is going to force you to be patient. I believe it's a muscle. That's why Oftentimes, patience with important things is gained with maturity and age, and patience with stupid things goes down with age and maturity as well. At least for me, I'm less patient with some things than I was before, and I'm more patient with other things than I was before. Gracias, Oscar, por el piropo. One of my biggest problems is that I lack patience, so I've been trying to figure out to build it somehow without success yet. So I have a question. I have an answer, which is just going to make you angry, which is be patient with your impatience, so you can start practicing patience with your own impatience, which I don't think is what you wanted to hear. But again, what we focus on is what we get. So if I focus on how impatient I am, or if I focus on how people don't do what I want when I want them to, then I'm going to be impatient. If I use my focus, use my discipline, use my self-awareness to focus on what's present, focus on my breathing, focus on what I can be grateful for, then that's great. Okay? So, upcoming live events, webinars, workshops, subscribe to that MailChimp right there and that link, okay? There's a link right there. Let me, okay, so go to that link and sign up for upcoming events. You can also go for insightseminars.org. In Spanish, you can find, or Spanish and Portuguese, seminariosinsight.com. And I'd like to hand it over to Clementine to see if they have anything to say. I'm very, very grateful for everybody for being here. I'm getting some ideas from your questions on some future things that we could do to add value, and so that we can all just learn and make the most out of this experience. Clementine.
So first of all, thank you, Peter, for all the value you bring tonight, and thank you. And I want also to say to our listener that we're going to have on Sunday also another event, and it's about challenge and opportunity. It's going to be Sunday at 8:30 in the evening. So we hope to see you there. It's going to be with Ofer Weizmann. So it's one of our friends from Israel. So it's going to be a great also webinar. So hope to see you there. So thank you for all of you. Thank you, Peter. And we wish you a lovely evening, and hope to see you on Sunday.
Yes, people, I'll see you on Sunday. Blessings. Thank you, everybody, for listening. My name is Peter Felsmann, castaway in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Let me show you quickly my family before I say goodbye. My son has been amazing, not interrupting all this time. Here, let me move here. This is the beautiful house we're staying in. Nico, say hi. Where are you? There you are.
Hello.
Hi. Bye, people.
Thank you.